Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Real Estate Success Podcast. I'm your host today, Jim Ingersoll, and it's good to be hanging out with you guys. I'm going to talk to an old buddy of mine. Not old, we're not getting old, but a good buddy of mine who goes way, way back to the late 1970s with me, and there aren't many people that do. So I'm really looking forward to this. And you guys are going to want to take a lot of notes. Like a lot of cities across America, the Western New York area and the Buffalo market has really boomed with economic development and a lot of stuff going on. And we're going to talk about how Gary has made it happen through his track of growth that he's been on and some of the people that have helped influence him along the way. Speaking of which, we got our boot camp coming up in January, and registrations have been pouring in. If you want to join us or just get the info, go to investortrainingsummit.com. We've had a short pause on podcast for the last 4 weeks. It's because I had pneumonia, which is getting a lot better. But if I'm going to try to make it through, this is my first one since having pneumonia, and I think we're going to be fine. But that's what happened with a little bit of gap in podcasts that we had. So we got some great guests coming up the next 4 to 6 weeks that you're going to really like, and including today my good friend Gary Proctor. Gary, how are you?
Great, Jim. How are you?
So Gary and I sort of grew up together, and he's somebody in my life that there aren't very many people that go way back to like 1979 with me. But Gary's one of those guys. As kids growing up, we used to hang out and go to the store and buy, like 35-cent packs of baseball cards, and we'd rifle through them and try to complete the whole set of tops. And a lot of great memories doing that, Gary, didn't we?
Absolutely. Those are fun times for sure.
They were. So Gary and I go way back to when we were kids, and we collected baseball cards, and we both grew up in Jamestown, New York, along with some other investors like Tom Olson. And, my memories at Jamestown are hanging out at your dad's store, Gary. There,
yep, that store.
Right?
Yep. Wen's Tropical Aquarium.
There you go. And then hanging. Yep. So your dad was an entrepreneur, and then hanging out at Hazard Street and then Allen Park, where we'd go sledding and build gigantic snowmen because we were right there in the middle of the snow belt.
Absolutely.
And a lot of good memories. So Gary, so I knew you like way back when you were just a little guy, and I was just a little kid as well. But what happened like between high school and when you started in real estate? Because I lost track of you there for a few years.
Yeah, I think we kind of went our separate ways at that point. And, I ended up doing, I was in and out of some various different jobs. I moved around to different parts of the country, moved out to Phoenix for a while, moved to Florida, moved to Lexington, Kentucky. I actually lived in the Virgin Islands for about a year.
I love the Virgin Islands, Gary. I'm going to the Caribbean in 2 weeks.
Nice. Where are you going?
I'm going to the Caymans this time.
Okay.
But
I lived on
the
St.
Virgin
John.
Islands. Where did you live in the Virgin Islands?
St. John, the littlest of the islands. It was really great. Yeah, it was really nice.
See, I had no idea.
But honestly, that was the last place I left before I came back to Jamestown for good. Mm-hmm. And the reason I left is because it just felt like I wasn't doing anything with my life. Yeah. So I got back to Jamestown, decided to actually grow up a little bit, and I bought into a wholesale flower business at that time, and we distributed flowers over maybe 3 different states: Pennsylvania, Ohio, and Western New York. And so I helped run that business for about 7 or 8 years. Got bought out of that. And in the meantime, I started doing real estate part-time, probably around 2004. And I bought a course from Ron LeGrand.
All right. Yep, Ron's still around and so.
Oh yeah. Yep, he is. He's still fun to listen to for sure. Mm-hmm. And I saw him speak at one of the Creative Real Estate Online seminars down in Atlanta, and I got sucked into it, of course, and bought his $1,000 course, and I just used it, and it worked. I made my money back in like 30 days. I wholesaled a house on Lincoln Street, just off of Falconer, where you would probably know where that is. Uh-huh. And I made $2,310. I still have a copy of the check. And so I recouped all my money and my travel money, and I was at a break even, and I just started doing it from there. So
was that back in the 90s?
That was 2004.
2004. And
Yep.
do you remember creative real estate way back then?
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. With JP Vaughn.
So JP was a friend of mine, Gary. And
Yes.
I'm thinking about her this week because it's 2 or 3 years ago, like today or yesterday, that she died.
Man, I can't believe it's been that long already.
I had a partnership with her for a while, and then as she got sick, and so my wife Cheryl and I were just talking about JP a couple of days ago because I know I've lost track if it was 2 years or 3 years, but what an extraordinary lady, and I really enjoyed getting to know her on a pretty personal basis. She was great and helped a lot of people get started, which is awesome.
Absolutely.
So 2004, that is awesome. So you got rolling with Ron LeGrand. You learned to wholesale. You created a deal, and you thought, boy, I can do this.
Absolutely.
What happened next?
Well, I ended up. I was also got my real estate license at that point. So and I started working with some REOs, some bank-owned properties. Found a few properties that I could buy, and quickly got into some rehabbing. So I ended up rehabbing 3 or 4 or 5 different properties over the course of a year.
Oh wow!
And I liked that. You know, it was fun to do. I made a little bit of money at it, not a ton, and just kind of I treated it as a hobby, I guess. So I did 5 or 6 deals a year, and that was about it.
Mm-hmm.
And that was kind of all I could find in the Jamestown area.
Well, it's a small market.
It is. So I kind of became unhappy with where it was and decided that I needed to amp things up a little bit and start getting a little more aggressive with my buying. So I started to get into true rentals. And that's where I really took off. And this was still in Jamestown. So within a course of about 18 months, I went from 0 rentals to 80 doors.
Wow.
Most of it owner financed, a lot of it financed privately, private lenders, very little of my own money, since I didn't have any. So, I had to use other people's money. And then, so I had 80 doors at one point. And,
so you're like the second generation Sam Polino.
Yes.
That's a name only you'll know if you've been in Jamestown.
Yes.
Isn't that true?
Yes. Carl Mazurko, Sam Polino.
Yeah.
Yep.
I remember. I remember growing up thinking, man, this guy is a big time landlord.
Yeah. Yep. I don't even know if he's still alive.
I don't think so.
He probably still.
Doors in Jamestown is a lot. I had my first rental in Jamestown. It was on Grant Street.
Yep.
And, I was working as an engineer at MRC, and I didn't have a clue what I was doing, and it didn't go very well.
Well, I'm kind of in the same boat.
$20,000 for this duplex. It looked great on paper.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's almost what I was doing. I was doing about anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 a door.
Yep.
And that's what I averaged. And you could cash flow, no problem. But the problem was you got bad tenants.
Yes.
Things were always going wrong. Our housing stock there was 100 years old or plus.
Yeah.
So everything always went wrong.
A lot of welfare.
Lot of welfare. You got horrible tenants. So out of those 80 doors, every month I averaged 5 evictions.
Yep.
Every month. So it just got old. And I just, to be honest with you, I hated it. So
you became a burned out landlord at a young age.
Yes, I was.
I've learned, before we hit record, we were talking about numbers of units. And one of the things I've learned is that's like the key question everybody asks, like, how many rentals do you have? Well, to me, it isn't like the quantity. It's more like the quality.
Right.
So I can create enough cash flow without having massive headaches and evictions and issues.
Right.
But back then, back in Jamestown, Cheryl and I, we didn't have any clue what we were doing. And it showed because I didn't have systems. I didn't have rental applications. I didn't know how to do a lease, any of that stuff. I just struggled on everything. The house needed tons of capital improvements. I didn't have any capital.
Yep.
You name it, I did it wrong.
Yep. And that's how you got to do it. You just got to get started. And
I've learned so much by failing. It's ridiculous.
Yes. Yep. And that's what's led me to Buffalo, as a matter of fact. So.
All right. So then you transitioned.
Yes.
Did you sell a bunch of those 80 doors?
Well, kind of.
Okay.
Kind of had a unscrupulous partner that
Yep.
ended up, at the time, it sounded like it was a bad deal on my part. He kind of, to be honest with you, he kind of screwed me out of a lot of
Mm,
the units.
gotcha.
Hurt me pretty bad at the time, but honestly, it was a huge blessing in disguise. It got me out of those the slumlord situation, and to this day, which is probably 5 6 years ago, he's still trying to sell those properties.
Yep.
He literally can't give them away, and so I'm pretty happy right now.
Good. It worked
So
out. So
absolutely,
you've learned by making mistakes and failing like I have.
yeah, yep.
As far as like a partnership, if one of our listeners is considering a partnership, do you have any tips on how to avoid issues with partners?
Well, document everything and actually get it in writing. This
It's good.
my mistake was probably a trust issue, which I don't have a problem trusting people, but you should add on that you need to verify stuff too. So trust
What
but verify.
Ronald Reagan said. Ronald Reagan said, "Trust but verify."
Exactly, and
You know,
I skipped
I
the
think that's
verify.
a great tip because I see a lot of real estate investors. They just pull up docs off LegalZoom or off the web,
Yeah.
the internet somewhere, and they don't even know what they have.
Yes.
And I don't
Exactly.
know that isn't, I don't think the place where you want to cut your costs.
Right. Right.
Because if something
Well,
goes wrong, that's when you need it.
right. Right. Exactly. Going back to like the Ron LeGrand course that I spent $1,000 on,
Yeah.
which I really didn't have. By using his system, I made it back in no time.
Yep.
And I'm still using it today. I still use that knowledge today. So just by paying a little extra money for some education, it helped me out tremendously to get me started.
So how long ago did you move to the Buffalo area?
I've been here about a year and a half or so now.
Okay. How are the investing opportunities there?
On night and day from Jamestown. It's it's like it's a whole new world that opened up to me up here.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
So tell us what's going on in Buffalo these days. I mean, I've been back. We have family in North Tonawanda and Williamsburg, Williamsville,
Yep.
different places, beautiful areas.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, I'm still a Bills fan and a Sabres fan. Of course, I love the Yankees. You know that. So
I can't say about anything about the
I
Yankees,
know.
but so since I'm a diehard Red Sox fan,
I know you are. It's man, last week was rough on me. I'm still in freaking denial.
yeah, it was rough on me, and we won.
Oh,
It's
my
stressful.
brother Dave, you remember my brother Dave?
Oh yeah, yeah.
I saw him a couple days ago, and I made a comment. I'm like, I can't believe the Yankees aren't playing Houston. And he's like, let it go, let it go.
It's so hard.
Like, it's
so
hard, man. It's in my heart. I'm such a diehard fan, but those
Yeah.
Sox have an amazing young team.
They do. They do.
So you
I-
went to Buffalo, and the opportunities are awesome.
They are. Yeah. It's even though it's a small town, relatively speaking, from
Yeah.
the rest of the U.S. Coming from a town in Jamestown where it's 30,000 people and declining fast, it just made a world of difference in what I'm doing with real estate now. So it's been great.
So the whole real estate market in Buffalo, like the rest of the country, is really strong.
Yeah.
There's still low inventory, I would assume.
Yes. Yeah. It's hard to find deals. Well, especially MLS deals. But I seem to do okay. I went to a lot of different real estate meetings, networked with a lot of people, made some friends, befriended a nice wholesaler, like a real go-getter guy. Showed him that I could buy a house or two, and he feeds me a lot of leads.
Good.
So I get a lot of houses from him, and now I'm doing a lot of my own marketing as well. And
Well, you've been doing this. I mean, today is finding deals is like chasing a unicorn. I mean, it's a little challenging, but you got to be out looking, or you'll never find anything.
Absolutely.
Like I mentioned, I've had pneumonia, so that like put me on the bench for a few weeks. I mean, it really kicked my butt bad.
I believe it.
But now that I'm back, I'm back out there hunting and searching, and I think we found 3 deals in the last week.
Nice.
So I'm like trying to build back up my own cash, my own deal flow at the moment. But when you're not looking, you won't find anything.
Well, that's true for sure. And the other thing that I think I used to do that I don't do now is I try not to analyze stuff too much. I just let's just get an offer out there. let's see where it goes. We can always change the offer if we have to, but let's get the ball rolling. So I'd rather make a dozen offers versus one really good offer. And let's see where those offers go.
You know, I see that as an issue with real estate investors all the time because they overanalyze.
Yeah. Yep. It's easy to do.
And then you can't pull the trigger.
Yeah. Yeah, because
somebody else scoops up the deal.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to act fast in today's
world. I went to RIT. I was an electrical engineer. And as like a math and science person, you're taught to control variables, to understand all your inputs so you can get the right output. I had to like get rid of all that to do real estate investing, because you got to be able to make fast decisions with limited amounts of data and manage your risk points so that you can capitalize.
Right. Calculated risks, but there's always going to be risk, but you can minimize a lot of that.
Yeah, I agree. So I love the way you said, let's just get an offer out there. You can always modify it and things later. I think that's a great tip.
Yep. Just get the ball rolling, start to talk to these sellers and build some rapport.
What kind of deals do you like to do as we head out 2018? What kind of deals did you do mostly this year?
I did
rentals, notes, what?
I did fix and flips and lease options, and a morph of the two, and no rentals, no straight rentals.
Right.
The only rentals that I'm doing now, I have converted to lease options. And that goes back to my Jamestown days where I hated the slumlord type mentality. So if
you can get a little skin in the game, you feel a little better.
Yeah. So what I started doing was buying houses and starting to rehab them, but found that it's such a hot market that you can price these up a little higher than you think. You usually get multiple offers on them. But what was happening is one deal I got ended up taking about 4 months to close. So in the meantime, my profit goes from a decent amount to not that much. So it kind of made me rethink the rehabbing business. And I ended up turning around a couple of the next properties that I rehabbed and just sold them with terms, the lease option terms. And the numbers are just phenomenal with that. So instead of waiting that 60 days or 90 days for a property to close, I've got some upfront cash within days and cash flow within days as well.
So I did a podcast a few months ago with Jerry Ricci. Jerry's from Erie.
Oh, nice.
Isn't that funny? And he lives up like somewhere between Erie and Pittsburgh now. So those are like his two markets.
Yeah.
His entire investing model at this point is lease options.
Nice. I'm slowly going that way for sure.
He loves them. So tell me how yours look.
Well, I've got two different distinct lease options that I'm doing. The one I'm doing is almost a really light rehab. So I'll bring in a private lender. I'll find this either a wholesale deal, off-market deal, almost like it's going to be a regular flip, but I'll treat it as a rental/lease option. So I'll lightly rehab it, get it livable, sellable, clean, functional, everything's good in there. And then I market it as a lease option. So I use private money to do it. Takes me about 30 days to probably flip the property. If I do it right, it takes me about maybe 7-8 days to sell it. So within 45 days, I'm in and out. And I'm looking for, I can usually get 5 to 10% down. And the average price up here is probably, I'm getting about $150 for it.
Okay, that's a good amount down.
Yeah. So I'm looking at $7,500 to maybe $10,000 or more. Sometimes I've got as high as 18 or 19.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Are you doing that with like a bandit sign, or are you doing it online? How do you find those buyers?
Yes, and yes. Bandit signs, I put 2 or 3 signs up in front of the house. I make it kind of gaudy. Big, huge, ugly handwritten signs.
Yeah.
Pointer signs wherever I can, down at the end of the blocks. And I do the usual stuff, the Zillow ad, the Trulia, stuff like that. But the one thing I really like that seems to be working great is the Facebook ads. And not the paid ones, but like you go into the garage sale groups.
Yeah, I use those a lot.
Yeah, just the free ads. You just put it up there, and I get a lot of calls. And then I drive those people to my website, and they fill out a quick little form, and a lot of them will tell me how much they have to put down, and the good ones I'll call back.
So tell me how your private lenders benefit working with you.
Well,
because they do. I know mine do, without a doubt.
Yeah, they love doing it because it's a quick in and out, and so I'll bring in the lender. Let's say I borrow $100,000 from the lender. I give them a pretty good rate. Like, I'm probably overpaying, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
But we're usually doing either a 12 to 15% if it's going to take a long time. But if it's a short 45 or maybe 3 months in and out by the time I refi, it's not worth it for them to do it. So what I've negotiated out was I usually just do a flat 10%.
Yeah, so I do a lot of that.
Yep. If I borrow 100, they're getting back 110. If I can turn it over to them in 90 days, that's a great, obviously 40% return on their money. So they're pretty happy. I'm trying to get away from that, to be honest with you, but it works. It works, and it's still profitable. So
good. So if somebody wanted to reach out to you and talk to you about how that works, your email is gary@sellfastbuffalo.com.
Yep. Sell Fast Buffalo.
And that's also your lead generation site?
Yeah. That's one of the websites I have that funnels some leads
with Carrot and Trevor Mock and all those guys.
Absolutely. That's a great way to do websites.
They are. So, and then you do some fix and flips as well.
Yeah, I'm kind of gravitating away from that only because I don't know how long this hot market's going to last.
Well, that's what we were talking about, right? There's got to be a reset button coming someday.
Right. And honestly, these lease options get rid of a lot of problems that retail flips have. Home inspections are easy to deal with because a lot of times people don't even want them because they're so anxious to get into the house. You don't have to wait. That's my least
favorite part about fixing and flipping.
Absolutely.
Getting the list on the addendum of stuff to repair.
Yep. So and then FHA financing is brutal. You always have repairs. Yep. So I'll have a check within a week after I put this on the market, and I got rent that month, so it just works out great.
Excellent.
So, yep.
Where do you see yourself in 5 or 10 years? What do you think you're doing? Same thing. Same thing. You
love it. Yeah. My goal is to set up enough of the lease options to get enough cash flow. It's almost like a rental on steroids. So I'll have enough cash flow probably within another 6 or 8 months to live off of just of the cash flow. Right. And then the upfront money is bonus. The back end, I haven't even talked about the back end, but the back ends are huge on these properties.
Right.
30, 40, 50 grand easy. And so those will start hitting a little at a time too. So
you think about it, you're getting paid multiple times because you get paid the day you collect your option fee, which is you've learned to collect sizable fees.
Yep.
You get paid every month.
Yep.
And then you get paid if they convert.
Yes.
And they actually buy it.
Yep, absolutely.
Multiple paydays are always good.
They are. So
tell me about how you got to like where you're at. Like, who are some people that you hang out with or groups you've learned from and people that have helped influence you to get to where you're at?
Well, in Jamestown, it was pretty tough because there weren't too many people that were trying to do things like we were doing. As a matter of fact, I didn't even know anyone in Jamestown that had the aspirations of what we did.
I was a paper boy. I mean, come on.
Yeah, exactly. So I worked at a pet store.
Yeah, exactly.
So a lot of my stuff was online. The creative real estate online. Yeah. I learned everything from there. Really started following the Ron LeGrand method for a long time, and doing the pretty house thing. Mm-hmm. Liked it, but my issue was I wasn't finding enough deals in Jamestown.
Right.
So that's where I went off track and got into the rentals, and sure enough, I hated it. So Now I'm back on track, and I'm doing those lease options, which I really enjoy.
And you're like a lifetime learner. I know you are. So how are you?
Yes.
How are you getting yourself into the right room and around the right people so you have the right mindset and you continue to learn today?
Much easier in Buffalo. We've got a great group. Flip Out Academy. I'll give a good shout out to him. Flip Out Academy. Chris Noggle. He's just a rock star in this area. He helps out people tremendously. Beginners, intermediate people, professionals,
Nice.
can get you set up with the right contractors. He's helped me find people. I knew no one when I was coming up here. So
Yeah.
he really helped me out to get the right people set up in the right areas. And he does monthly meetings and a whole bunch of other little meetings. And he's always available for a call.
So Flip Out Academy is one group that's made a big impact.
Yep, absolutely. And it's all like-minded people. I mean, you can go to the meeting sitting next to private lenders. You could be sitting next to your next flip partner. Everyone is looking for the same thing you're looking for. So
Nice.
it's great to hang out with like-minded people.
So if you could go back a few years, what would you tell yourself to do differently? Anything in particular?
Oh my God. Move to Buffalo.
Move earlier?
Yes, get out of Jamestown.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Yep, the opportunity was huge, and my business has just exploded.
I moved to Virginia in 1998, 20 years ago, which is mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Me.
Yep. And I tell you what, since my wife's going to hear this, she's the one that kind of spearheaded this and probably gave me the ultimatum. And I kept, I don't know what it was. If I was just scared to move up or thought I was going to lose all my contacts or fail fiercely or something. But finally, it just came to a head, and we're like, all right, let's go. We went almost in the middle of the night. It seemed like, within like 2 weeks, we were packed up and gone. I sold my house with a lease option, and so I couldn't look back. And we made it pretty quick.
That's amazing. And when I moved to Virginia, my wife Cheryl's like, I don't want to leave Jamestown. We were living in Lakewood at the time. Lakewood's a pretty nice little town. I was a block from the lake or less. And
yep.
Like, I don't want to go. But once we got here, like our world changed also.
Yeah. Yep, exactly.
And back then I was in corporate America, so that kind of sucked. But other than that, it was good.
Yeah, and I think your whole family followed you down there.
Yeah,
too.
They have. Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah, my brother Bill is here now too. My brother Bill's running all of my construction for our rehabs now.
Nice.
And then my brother Dave is here, and then his wife Tracy works with us in our office 4 days a week.
Nice.
And then my wife Cheryl is really busy. Now we're like family. Everything's family. So now I'm like really trying to focus on my kids. They're each buying a rental this month. So, it's all good.
Aren't your kids really young?
No, they're in their 20s, mid-20s.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Now I have grandkids. I have two grandkids.
Your grandkids, yes.
Now my grandkids are everything. They're 3 and 4.
I still think we're young.
I do too. It starts right here in your mindset.
Yeah, exactly.
For me, it's still 1979 or 1978, and we're looking through Topps baseball cards, Gary.
Yeah. The problem is all those Topps baseball cards, they're all either managers or retired managers at this point.
For sure.
No longer players.
Well, I'm really excited about everything you've done, and I know I see your stuff you're doing on Facebook and things. I know you're doing really well, and I'm really super excited for you. This is a podcast I was really looking forward to, so I could catch up and just take a short trip. My wife says you can go down memory lane, just don't stay there.
I agree.
We try to look forward, not backwards, but it was really a lot of fun doing that with you because I do have a lot of great memories growing up with you, Gary.
Yeah, absolutely. That was great.
So I'm going to respect your time and let you go, but I really appreciate your being our guest today on the Real Estate Success Podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This was great.
And if you guys want to reach out to Gary and get some info on Buffalo or investing there or how he does lease options or how his private lending works, just email him, Gary@sellfastbuffalo.com. Check out his website too. Gary, all my best. It was great catching up today, and I hope you have an awesome day.
Thanks, Jim.
See you around.
Yep.